Deputy Owen Murphy, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dr. Bacon. Just to clarify an issue that came up earlier, when you were designing the report for NAMA, the March 2009 report, did you hold any positions or directorships that might have been in conflict with you designing that report? No. Thank you. On the report itself, it says that it's the report of the Special Advisor at the NTMA. Is that just...
At the NTMA.
At the NTMA, yeah. So was
at. Not to.
At the NTMA, yes, but I mean, that was just a formal title that was given to
Absolutely.
you on the basis of conducting for the Minister. The recommendation to house NAMA in the NTMA.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Me. Why? Because the capital market skills, down there are was the only part of the public service where I would think there are high-quality capital market skills. I think I dealt with that. In fact, maybe Deputy Doherty would be able to fill you in. It was certainly, I think, in the main report. The why and where.
You go through a couple of reasons in the main report, but it was unusual to house NAMA in the NTMA. I mean, I think it actually. I mean, you gave a couple of specific reasons, but what I'm curious about is that subsequently, then you talked about the ethos in NAMA, and you talked about it being a debt collection agency.
Yeah, that's my impression. I mean, I can only give you my impression. Yeah.
Were you surprised at that outcome, given that it was housed in the NTMA?
Somewhat. But I mean, that's the function of the legislation. Remember, they get a report on the 20th of March, they make the announcement on the, whatever it was, the 9th of April, and then there's a whole statute that grows for, I think, 18 months or 2 years. Mm-hmm. So in the end, what you finish up with is a statutory agency implementing a statute.
Well, I suppose, did it end up the way that you had intended it to end up?
Yes, in principle. I mean, the only question is that I would have is the focus on debt recovery as opposed. To my mind, there can be a conflict between short-term debt recovery and the realisation of long-term value to the taxpayer. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about this focus on debt collection, and you said it's difficult to know why it's being implemented in this way. One possible reason is that you would not find the expertise to run that kind of operation within Ireland.
Yes.
Would you elaborate on that?
Sorry?
Would you like to elaborate on that? Did you feel that NAMA had the required expertise to do its job?
I think look, NAMA is a major property portfolio. The number of people in the world who have headed up that kind of operation is quite small. It's a very special. Think of Blackstone, BlackRock, people who have bought assets from NAMA. I would think that the skill set didn't exist in Ireland to take on the management of that portfolio.
The skill set didn't exist in Ireland to take on the management of that portfolio.
Yeah.
And despite that, though, the NTMA was the best place.
Well, hold on. The executives within the NPA, and in terms of capital markets expertise, debt issuance, managing portfolios, there's no doubt that that's there. I mean, the skill I would question is the property skill. The property skill. Okay. Property development and investment skill.
You mentioned the time it took from you designing NAMA to it coming into effect, and then the transference of loans took some time as well. Two previous witnesses have criticised that delay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to criticise it, but I would criticise it, but equally you have to turn around and say, well, legislation does take time to put into place, and you can't go off taking loans and assets off banks' balance sheets without having the legal authority to do so.
Would there be a benefit to anyone in that delay?
Don't.
You don't know? Okay.
There was certainly a cost. The sooner you tackle the problem and get it off banks' balance sheets, the better. I mean, what were banks doing? You had a situation where there was going to be a major interface between the Irish banking system and a new agency, and they had to wait. Both sides had to wait until the legislation was in place before they could take their tracksuits off.
My final question then, the legislation's in place, they get to work. You've criticised the pace at which it's done its work.
Not the pace that it has done its work. I mean, the only thing I have criticised, I think, is the ethos, which is an impression.
If you don't mind, I think it would help the market if assets were sold quicker. I think the pace of sales to date has only been forestalling recovery.
Were you quoting from Deputy?
An interview with Dr. Bacon in the Irish Independent in October 2010.
Yeah. And the context of that was a lot of the. I think there are some assets, and I think they're still there in AMA, that had no value, have no value, and will have no value. They could have been got rid of straight away.
Colonel O'Donnell.
Thank you.